Welcome back to Alchemical Astrology. I'm your celestial cartographer, Melusine, with the full Hunter's Moon report. I trust you've managed to integrate the jam-packed October transit report I published a few days earlier, and now I'll focus the lens on the lunation occurring at 16 degrees Aries on Sunday, October 9th at 4:54 p.m. EDT. As I mentioned in my monthly report, it is my view that the most useful application of astrological principles to our daily lives involves observing recurring cycles, patterns, and angular dynamics, and engaging with the archetypal energies playing out in a strategic fashion. Let me demonstrate with this full moon manifestation as it is graphically depicted here in the chart calculated for Toronto, Canada, where I live. The aspects presented in red are the ones that produce tension as they are either squaring or opposing placements. The blue lines are harmonious and free-flowing placements. In the first week of October, you have the ever-present Saturn-Uranus square fully activated for the third time this year. Both planets are in retrograde motion in fixed signs, so the pervasive energy is one of revolutionary change being curtailed and obstructed by systems and institutions designed to maintain the status quo at all costs. Anytime you have Saturn and Uranus in these antagonistic angles, a crisis manifests just like it did during the Depression in the 1930s. Saturn opposed Uranus and squared Pluto in 2008, which resulted in the Great Recession. So the notion of a catalytic shift in wealth is tied to this fire moon energy. This will be experienced on a mundane level as Uranus is conjunct the North Node and the karmic implications are global in their scope. There is also a T-square in the mutable signs with Neptune in Pisces and Mercury in Virgo, both squaring Mars in Gemini. I've outlined the significance of T-squares in several previous reports as they have also been prevalent in 2022. Mercury's opposition to Neptune translates to exercising caution when it comes to trusting information as it's presented. Mars in the sign of the twins is unstable and indecisive. Each mutable sign marks the end of a season and is the harbinger of change. The solution to a T-square is arrived at by looking to the fourth point that is vacant, which would bring stability were we to focus our energies in that direction. In this case, it is the sign of Sagittarius, mutable fire ruled by the planet Jupiter, that offers the answer to this energetic tug-of-war. Sagittarius, like all the mutable signs, carries a double signature, in this case a centaur, which is half man, half horse, the perfect merging of animal instinct and mental acuity. Sagittarius is the adventurer who fearlessly explores uncharted territory. Adaptable and flexible, this archer of the sky points his arrow towards a new target, perhaps the galactic center of the Milky Way. If we are to evolve as a collective and rise above the political machinations fueled by rumor and innuendo, then balancing our impulses against rational objectivity will prove to be our vehicle for transcendence, and that is the gold in the chart. You'll notice this message is echoed by the moon's placement in Mars-ruled Aries, conjuncting another centaur, Chiron, the wounded healer. Full moons are culmination points that afford us the opportunity to release something. In this case, it is likely a profound wounding to one's identity that still needs attention. Think back to 6 months ago when we had a new moon in Aries, and that may give you a clue to where this lunar cycle originated and what emotional hotspots are still triggering you. A fire moon is volatile and prone to explosive outbursts when put on the defensive. The fact that this Aries moon lands in the second decan, which is the sun's domain, bodes well when it comes to shining more light on places in your psyche that need more TLC. I'd venture to say this lunation may be one you look back on when July 2023 rolls around, as that is the time we have a nodal axis shift to Aries Libra for 18 months. Those born between January 1949 and July 1950, August 1967 to April 1969, and April 1986 to December 1987 will all have nodal returns. These groups will likely retrace steps taken to find the sweet spot between your need for freedom and being in relationship with others. This is precisely what is being seeded here for all of us to contemplate. The Sun conjunct Venus in Libra is opposing the Moon and Chiron in Aries. We must all ask ourselves, how does one maintain a sense of self while negotiating compromises to meet the needs of a partner without falling into codependency? Keep this in mind as the celestial gears lock into place on this theme next year. It is important to note that Venus is not visible in the sky, and the moon will reach its peak lunation below the horizon point. This is another clue to navigating these energetic tensions. We will be required to dig deep to uncover what has been buried in the underworld of the collective unconscious in terms of repression of the divine feminine. Our ability to nurture and support one another in a gentle and inclusive fashion has been hindered for a long time. The sky is making it clear we need to adjust our receptive magnetic circuits and open our hearts to receiving love from a place of healthy self-worth. We have celestial support made visible by the grand air trine shown in the chart as a blue triangle connecting the Sun and Venus to Saturn and Mars. Positive action can be taken provided time is dedicated to building a solid structure based on teamwork through equitable negotiations. To bring the point home, this Aries moon will be in the vicinity of the fixed star Alpheratz, in the head of the constellation of Andromeda, the chained maiden. This star is also known as the navel of Pegasus, so once again we have horse and human in a celestial duet that presents a narrative of the imprisoned feminine being liberated by reclaiming her power, thereby restoring cosmic balance. According to Bernadette Brady, the moon in Parans with Alpheratz points to emotional independence and a self-contained individual. The fixed star bears the character of both Jupiter and Venus. It is energetic, persevering, honorable, and brings wealth, many good friends, and business success. I'd say that's a solid foundation to build on that will carry us through to 2023 and beyond. The mineral I would choose to assist in blazing a trail towards finely tuned harmonics is the opal, which happens to be the birthstone for the month of October. As you've seen in the chart, the predominant elemental interplay is between fire and air, which are masculine in their tonality, and this needs to be equalized if we are to achieve alchemical transformation. On close inspection, there appears to be an inner flame in the opal, regardless of its coloring. This is directly attributable to the high water content combined with silicon dioxide. Pearlescent raindrops solidified. The perfect antidote to keep a combustible moon grounded. This magical stone reflects and absorbs, amplifying and energizing the frequency of the one wearing it. The stone facilitates release of old thinking patterns and ties to the past, bringing about full emotional balance and clarity. When it comes to appropriate plants, I'd have to side on the part of those associated with Venus. There is a tale in Greek mythology describing the goddess appearing on the island of Cytherea, covered with sprigs of myrtle so the residents would not be blinded by her full beauty. From that moment on, the Greeks planted myrtles across their landscape to foster an abundance of love and prosperity in the community. For this reason, a crown of myrtle flowers were worn by a bride on her wedding day. This luck is said to carry over into the afterlife, and with that in mind, the ancient Greeks adorned the graves of their dearly departed with myrtle blossoms. Let's all make room in our hearts for the flow of that same Venusian essence embodied in the myrtle as we prepare for eclipse season in a purified state of tranquility.